You know that glowing screen in your child's hands? We all see it. But let's be honest. Is it a helpful tool, or is it turning into something, well, more of a problem? Today, we're going to unpack one of the biggest challenges for parents right now, mobile addiction in our kids.
Okay, let's just jump right in with the question. Think about this for a second. When you ask for the phone back, what happens? Is it no big deal? Or does it spark frustration, anger, maybe even a full-blown meltdown? That reaction right there can tell you pretty much everything you need to know.
Right. And if that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. This has become a huge issue for families everywhere, and it affects everything from homework to bedtime. So first, let's make sure we're all on the same page about what we're actually dealing with.
So what do we mean when we say mobile addiction? Look, this isn't about a child who just enjoys using a phone now and then. This is about a real dependency. It's when they just can't seem to put it down, they're always asking for games or videos, and, this is the key, their whole mood just crashes when they don't have it. That's the difference between normal use and a real problem.
You know, to fix any problem, you've got to get to the root of it first. Why are these little devices so incredibly powerful for kids? Well, it turns out it's not just one thing, but a whole mix of reasons.
First off, the pull from the digital world is just massive. These games and videos are literally designed to keep you hooked. But a lot of the causes are actually in the real world. Is the phone the only fun thing available? Does it sometimes become, a digital babysitter when we get busy? And this one's a biggie. What are they seeing us do? Kids learn by watching us, so if we're glued to our phones, they just assume that's what you're supposed to do.
Understanding the why is important, for sure. But seeing the potential harm this can cause, that's what really gets you motivated to do something. And we're not talking about minor stuff here. The effects can have some really serious consequences for a child's development.
A lot of times, it starts to show up in their schoolwork. Think about it. When a brain gets wired for that constant, fast-paced stimulation from a screen, it has a really hard time slowing down to focus on something like a textbook. Their attention span can actually start to shrink.
And then there's the physical side of it. All that time staring at a little screen puts a real strain on their developing eyes. And this leads to actual physical symptoms, like their eyes burning or their vision even getting a little blurry.
It doesn't just affect their days. It messes with their nights, too. The blue light coming from those screens literally tricks the brain into thinking it's still daytime. This messes up their natural sleep cycle, making it harder for them to fall asleep and just lowering the quality of the rest they get.
So, when you have a child who's overstimulated and sleep-deprived, is it any wonder their emotions are all over the place? This brings us right back to that first question. That anger, that irritability, it's not just them throwing a tantrum. It's often a sign of real mental stress.
And while they're locked into a screen, they're missing out on the real world. They're losing valuable time to practice reading body language, hearing the tone in someone's voice, and learning the simple back and forth of a real face-to-face conversation.
And finally, all that time spent just sitting down has a direct and lasting impact on their physical health. It creates a very real risk for long-term problems down the line, including obesity.
Okay, I know that was a lot of heavy information, but here is the good news. This is a solvable problem. There are simple, real steps you can take to get things back on track, and we're going to walk through a simple plan right now.
Look, there's no single magic bullet here. It's a 5-part strategy. It's about creating some structure, offering better things to do, leading by example, talking to your kid with empathy, and, using the technology itself to help set some healthy limits.
If you remember just one thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this. Depending on your child's age, the goal should be about 1 to 2 hours of screen time per day, maximum. Having a clear, consistent number makes the rule super easy for everyone to understand and follow.
So let's flesh this out a bit. Setting a time limit means defining phone-free times, like when it's homework time or when they're playing outside, the phone is just off limits. It means you have to actively bring back the fun of non-digital stuff, like reading a book together or pulling out a board game. And the no-phone time for the whole family? Oh, that one is huge. It shows you're all in it together. And finally, use the tools you have. Parental controls are your friend.
At the end of the day, all these tips and tools really come down to one thing: you. As a parent, your involvement is the single most important factor in getting through this challenge successfully.
And this is the guiding principle for how to do it. Snatching the phone away in anger is only going to start a war. The goal is to approach this whole thing with understanding and love. Explain why you're setting these limits. Frame it as something you're doing for their health and happiness, not as a punishment.
Just remember, change is totally possible, and it does not have to be a constant battle. It starts with a plan, a conversation, and a commitment. The digital world isn't going away, but your child's childhood is. So the only question left is, what choice are you going to make? Maybe even as soon as the dinner table tonight.